A warning to listeners, this podcast contains explicit language and strong themes of violence. My name is Desiree De Bruin and I'm here to find out what life is like at different universities across the world. The idea came following the outrage in Bangladesh after a photo was published on Facebook of two students kissing at their university. The photographer, Jibon Ahmed, was beaten by his co-workers and fired from the newspaper he worked for. Bangladesh is a majority Muslim country where extremism is deepening. 3 conservative students at the University of Dhaka, where Mr. Ahmed took the photo, were suspended for allegedly assaulting 2 students just for holding hands. So, what else happens overseas at universities that is different to Australia? We're going to hear from international student UD Saha from India, who studied at university in his home country. He had a lot to say about the differences in culture and the way the university system works.
Studies in India are like religion. The 4 things you can become in India: you're either a lawyer, you're a doctor, or you become an engineer. The 4th one is a disappointment, which I was when I decided to take on sports management, and my parents were like, "What the hell are you doing? Why did you leave science?" Because I was studying engineering. And I was like, yeah, no, this shit, because it wasn't for me. So in India, studies are really, really hard. And the entrance exams for all these universities are one of the toughest in the world. Indian universities have the highest rejection rate of any university in the world, more than Harvard. And people train for getting into uni from grade 5, grade 6. So they're coaching classes where people pay exorbitant amounts every month to train them for engineering colleges from grade 6, grade 7. Yeah. So that's the entire school life sucked out of them.
Were you trained from a young age?
I was trained from year 9. That's because I actually enjoyed engineering. I actually wasn't half bad at it. I cleared all my exams. I cleared everything. I got into top unis. I attended for 1 week and I thought I'll kill myself at the end of 4 years. And I told my parents I can't study this. Yeah. I might enjoy the subject, but it's not what I want to pursue. So I switched. So luckily my parents were a bit understanding. That's because my sister's a doctor, so they're like, one good kid's enough. But yeah, for other students, it's pretty hard. They don't really have a say in what they want to study and what they want to pursue. You have to be, if you want to be successful in India, you have to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. That's what is the norm. Nowadays, a lot of my friends who I know have taken arts and humanities and other such subjects and commerce. That's coming up still because parents are being educated that it's not just these 3 main things. The world needs to survive on arts. The world needs to survive on people doing commerce and on people doing civics and people doing history, because you need politicians in life. As you know, India's corrupt as fuck. I'm sorry, it's okay. India's really corrupt. It's the most corrupt country I've ever been in. And
would you say that translates into university life, the corruptness?
100%. So to get into uni, so there are 2 types of universities in India. There's a government-run university and there's private. So in government, you don't really have to pay a lot of money. Obviously, the standard's a bit low because you don't expect the government to be fully funded. They can provide you basic amenities, but that's just about it. Private universities are privately funded by big corporations, etc. So they're basically in the scheme of money-making. So it's like Deakin here, it's privately owned. So they're going to charge whatever fees they want because they're allowed to. Government universities in India can't. They have set fees, which are really low for students. So basically it's for people coming from rural areas who can't afford it, or people who are getting scholarships, or people who are actually super smart, and that's a pathway for them. So I studied in a private university because obviously the standards are a bit better. I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship because we're not rich at all. So it is hard to get into uni. I'm on a scholarship here at Deakin too. So my entire life I've just been through scholarships. But people who don't get into private universities through scholarships have to pay something called a donation. So this donation is basically bribes to the university, which every student is willing to pay. Their parents just go and donate money to the university in order to get them a seat into the university. So this is a very common practice, and many times people just take the money and they don't even give them admission.
How do you think public displays of affection are seen at university in India?
Okay, so you don't really see PDA in India in general. People do whatever the hell they want in the name of religion, in the name of political party, and they have backing because no one's held accountable in India. The Prime Minister doesn't do shit. And what has happened now is people have taken on themselves, they're righteous people, They actually have groups of people going around in public park and seeing if any couples are sitting together, they beat them up or they get them married. They're like, if you're together holding hands or you're touching each other, you got to get married or you got to kiss. I mean, what am I saying? Like, you got to, they beat them up. People have died. People have been beaten up. So when it comes to specifically PDA in colleges, I still think you can still find it a lot because in my college, I was lucky, it's a private institution. There are a lot of rich people, so they've been educated. They don't really see the same eye to eye as other students. But I feel it's my right to give you both perspectives of mine and what the general Indian population sees as well. But I've done PDA in college before. Like, it's okay. It's just that you got to know who your crowd around you is. If I was studying in a government uni or just like a normal school, that shit won't fly. I'll get suspended.
After hearing about the violence in India as a result of public displays of affection, it is fair to assume UD had a reason to study in Australia. He saw Australia as a new opportunity. Melbourne was his go-to place, and after receiving a scholarship, he hasn't looked back.
And Australia was obviously an amazing option because I have a few friends here who've spoken a great deal about it. Apart from that, there's a lot of campaigning which Australia does, Australia tourism in India. So you get to see a lot of, these cricket teams come down. Footy teams recently played in India to try to promote AFL. So for somebody who's doing sports management, Melbourne was the to-go place for me because you have cricket, you have the Oz Open, you have tennis, you have everything. You have soccer, as you guys call it. So, so for Melbourne, for me especially, was the to-go place, and I was just lucky that I got a scholarship from Deakin, and I decided to go ahead with it. But Melbourne is just a livable place, I guess, compared to other places. It's just that India is still a developing country. I wouldn't say third world country. Most of the countries, apart from the big 5, 6 of them, they're all developing countries. They've got a long way to go, and I just felt I wanted to experience something where everything's laid out, like the public transport system. You can't find that in India. In India, of course, you have bus timing, but God knows when it's going to come.
Whilst discussing his adaptation to Western life, UD gets real about living in war-torn countries and the dangers Australia is fortunate enough not to experience.
2 minutes landing into Australia, it's not like they're racist or anything. It's just that they don't know saying some stuff isn't the norm. Like, the moment I landed, I could just overhear 2 people be like, these bloody Indians, one more of them. I'm like, guys, I'll go back in 2 years' time and I legit just want my degree and I want to leave. Australians are one of the best people I've lived in. And that's coming from somebody who stayed in 17 cities. So it's a big thing for me to say that, these people are amazing. And it's just that one of my best experiences, it's not funny, is just that somebody who's from the city, who's from India, who's lived in basically difficult parts of the country. I've stayed in war zones. I've stayed in threats. I've stayed on the border of Pakistan where fucking Bin Laden was and whatnot. And it's hard. It's been a hard life for me. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's coming to Australia where everything's a bit more peaceful, where the problems in the world are a polythene bag at Coles or Woolworth or, my first ever first world problem was daylight savings.
I asked UD how the system works in India regarding the buildings and the rules. UD also discusses the differences he has experienced with assignment styles in Australia.
Let me just explain to you how my building was. There would be just one building, 6 floors. First 2 floors were the first years. Second 2 floors were the second years, and the third and the top 2 floors were the third years. Because you would have 3 years of bachelor's, so you would have a year, and a year. Whereas here, you can just take whatever unit you want. Over there, there's a set curriculum. For first year, you got to study this. The only thing I could choose was what language I wanted to study.
Are there any particular strict rules in India?
It's basically pretty much the same as Australia. Based on uni, is no cheating and all of that. But in terms of studies, Australia is more, let me say, the assignments let you be creative. I can write a 6,000 word assignment on why footy is not football and why soccer is football. Yeah. Or whatever I choose based on the assignment topic. And I can put whatever the hell I want to inside that assignment, whatever my opinion is. And it's up to the teacher whether he feels my opinion is correct. In India, you can't survive without your marks. You can have all the experience you want in the world. At the end of the day, they'll take the person who's got more marks because they think they're smarter, but which is totally wrong. And like I said, again, the job aspect is totally different. Nobody wants to wait tables. Here, I'm dying to give. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'll work anything. Just give me a job, because you got to pay rent.
Yeah.
You're more independent here.
Yep.
Back there, everyone's got their parents, especially when you leave from a certain country and go abroad.
Completing university in India is crucial to finding a job. Without a degree, it is almost impossible to earn a decent wage. In Australia, most students work while studying for a degree. The lives of Australian students compared to Indian students is vastly different. UD has given an insight into these differences and the way the university system is operated overseas.
People study really hard for bachelors and they study hard for masters, and even then they struggle to get a job. Here, people already have jobs after they graduate. They work with, tradies. Some people have jobs in, the workplaces. People are happy being waiters, etc.
Yeah.
In India, being a waiter is not considered lucrative. It's not considered a job. It's for poor people. That's what they say. It's for people who are struggling. You'll see most of the lower class or struggling people, they work in such roles, cleaning tables, etc. Whereas here, I say people can be rich and they still, wait tables and, other stuff, petrol stations, etc.
Yeah.
It's not based on your financial outcome, what work you do in Australia. It's based on what you want to do, if you want to make quick money. Because what I see is most of my mates, they make enough money till trimester 2 ends and then they spend it all in trimester 3. Or they work really hard in trimester 3 and they spend it all in trimester 1, trimester 2. At the end of the day, I still feel that India's got a lot of way to go in regards to studying. The entire culture about university is, over here, people choose not to go to uni if they don't want to, if they have a job. In India, it's a necessity. If you want a good job, you have to go to uni.
Listening to UD talk about his experiences in India has opened up my eyes to the issues developing countries face. University life for students in Australia is incredibly easy compared to the struggles international students can endure. Thank you to UD for opening up about his experiences and giving an insight into life as an international student from India.